Hello, intermediate algebra students. A couple things to talk about here in this first video. Uh, I've only got 15 minutes on these videos, so I'm going to try to move quickly. I'm going to do a quick little example of each of the problems from yesterday's 5.1 day 1 homework. But we got a quick talk about the situation with, from what I understand, we had a lot of struggles with the homework yesterday. Two things. First of all, I understand we're starting a new chapter. Some of this is brand new stuff and not perfect timing for me to be gone for a couple weeks. I fully understand that. But to address kind of where we left off with the struggles from last chapter and the trends that we're seeing with homework completion and things like that, we have to be doing a better job of what we're doing on a day-to-day basis in class. One thing that stood out to me from yesterday was um, the amount of struggles we had, but that directly correlates to I have around 80 students in intermediate algebra in my 3 classes. The video that I went through the notes with yesterday had 30 views. Well short of half of the students even attempted to watch the video that walked through all of the problems. We have to be able to be using the resources we've got, putting some time in, and on the homework, it's going to happen quite a bit in math where the first couple times you try certain problems or you're learning new things, you might get stuck. You might get it wrong the first 1 or 2 times. You might have to retry it. You might get it wrong once or twice and have to go back and look at the notes and back and look at the video and pause the video and follow through the example. We have to be able to kind of work through those things. It's not going to be, here's my assignment, I'm going to open it, I'm going to get it done in 10 minutes just because it's something I have to get done and I'll figure it out. That's not how it works. We have to be able to use the resources given. We've got to be able to think through some of this stuff and through a little bit of adversity and getting things wrong. So I am going to quickly go through an example of each of the problems from yesterday, and then we do have a second video that goes through the notes for today's stuff, which is basically an extension of yesterday. So first of all, these problems where you're having to see if each ordered pair is a solution to the given equation or not. All you're doing, so when we keep an x and a y in the equation, those are values that we can be plugging in to see if a certain point works. So your x of 5 is going to go in for x, you're going to substitute it in, and your y of 6 is going to substitute in for y, and you're just seeing if the equation balances or not. So instead of 3 times x, you've got 3 times 5 minus 7 times 6, and you're checking to see, does it actually equal 19? Does plugging in the x of 5 and the y of 6 make this equation work? So 3 times 5 is 15. That minus 7 or negative 7 times 6 will be minus 42 equals 19. 15 minus 42 is going to end up being negative 27. As we can clearly see, negative 27 does not end up equaling 19. That is not correct. 5 and 6 being plugged in does not balance that equation, so the answer is no. It is not a solution. If I'm looking real quick here, so let's try this one real quick. So just so you guys can see what it would look like if it does work out. So the 4 for x, so 3 times 4 minus 7 times negative 1, does it equal 19? Well, 3 times 4 is 12. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. Negative times negative is positive. We're still checking to see if it equals 19. 12 plus 7 is 19. We end up with a balanced equation of 19 on both sides. That's when you say, yes, that point works. Okay, so that's what you're doing for each of those ordered pairs. Next question. You are taking a point and the slope given to you, putting into point slope form. Again, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So the y and the x are staying that way. The y1 and the x1 are being replaced by the points and the pieces of the point, and then the slope is going to be replaced by that slope that they give you. So that m of negative 3 over 2 is going to go directly in for the m, the y minus y1. So what that's going to end up saying, so y minus y1, your y1 here is that given y value, so y minus -6. But again, whether you see it as subtracting a negative, which turns to positive, or the fact that I have a -6, I just have to remember it's the opposite sign when I plug it into the equation. So y plus 6, and then let's get rid of that and talk about the x value of 10. So the x minus x1, x minus 10, nothing fancy happening there. It's the opposite of the positive 10 that's given. So x minus 10, that is your equation. Y plus 6 equals -3/2 x minus 10. Okay, I know I'm going a little quick, but again, I only have 15 minutes, and I do want to spend the most time on these two word problems because those are definitely tricky. Now you're doing the opposite. You're given an equation, and you have to tell me what's the point that's buried in there, and then what's the slope. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, well, the slope should be easy. It's exactly what's written there in front of those parentheses. Your slope is -1/4. Now the point has to do with the y1 and the x1 that are given to you inside of that equation. So remember, first of all, your ordered pairs are x, y, so make sure you put them in the right order. So your x value, your x minus x1, and then you've got a +5. So just be careful. Remember, the sign that is on the x and the y value in the equation is the opposite of the x or the y in the point, because x minus -5 is what turned into x plus 5 over here. So that -5 is what's being subtracted as x1. So that -5 is the x in your point. The y, it's y minus 3, the opposite sign of what's in the equation. So it's subtracting a 3, so it's +3 as the point on your line. Here, I think there's a little confusion. You can put this equation in point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Well, first of all, the slope, we can count that. Okay, so you're going down 1, 2, 3, so down 3, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So down 3 means I've got -3 on top. To the right 6 means I've got a +6. Well, -3 over 6 can simplify to -1/2. So your slope is -1/2. And then for the point, that x1, y1, you can use either of those points. Okay, so let's just use this one. So that's at the ordered pair. The x value is -5, and the y value is -2. So now if I'm putting those in for my x1 and my y1, my x1 is a -5, so x minus -5. Okay, that's going to end up as x plus 5, or if you want to think of it as just the opposite of the symbol in the point, it'll be y plus 2 then, since it's a -2 in the point, it's y plus 2 in the equation. So your equation, y plus 2 equals -1/2, x plus 5. And if you notice, I did type that in on the Alex assignment, y plus 2 equals -1/2 times x plus 5. That is point slope form. It does tell me it's correct. So it does take point slope form for those questions 7 and 8. Word problems. Okay, so for number 9, suppose that the weight in pounds of an airplane is a linear function of the total amount of fuel in its tank. When it's graphed, the function gives a line with a slope of 6.2. That's going to be important. With 52 gallons of fuel in its tank, the airplane has a weight of 2,322.4 pounds. And then what is the weight of the plane of 79 gallons of fuel in the tank? Well, first of all, that's your point. You've got your x value of 52 because that's on the x-axis, and your y value of 2,322.4. It's on the y-axis. And then you can use that point and the slope of 6.2 that they gave you up top to come up with your equation. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Well, the slope is 6.2. It's going to go right in there for m. Give that to you straight away. The y1, okay, is this 2322.4. So it'll be y minus 2322.4 equals 6.2 times x, and then the x value that they gave you is 52. So x minus 52. Now, when you're having to actually solve for something, they're asking you to figure out what the weight of the plane is with 79 gallons of fuel in its tank. So this is where that extra x and y come in. You're going to take that 79, and it's talking about gallons of fuel, which is the x value. So you're going to plug 79 in for the x, and then you're going to solve for that y. That's all by itself then. So you've got y minus 2322.4 equals 6.2 times 79. I'm now plugging this 79 in for x minus 52. Okay, so this is just order of operations. So first thing I'm going to do is 79 minus 52 is going to be 27. Then I'm going to do 6.2 times 27, which is going to be 167.4. So now I've got y minus 2322.4 equals 167.4. And your last step then, to get y all by itself, is to cancel this thing out. You're going to add 2322.4 to both sides, and your y will equal whatever those two added up are. 167.4 plus 2322.4 equals 2,489.8, and the y-axis is pounds. Okay, so that's how number 9 works. Come up with the equation with the information given, plug that x in, and then here, the last one, it's really similar, and I know I'm going quick, but I only got 2.5 minutes left. The credit remaining on a phone card is a linear function of the total calling time made with the card. The remaining credit after 37 minutes of calls is $15.56. So pay attention to the axes. The x-axis is calling time. So 37 minutes is an x value, and the y that goes with it is 1556. Okay? Then the remaining credits after 56 minutes, so another point, 56 minutes is 1328. What is the remaining credit after 62 minutes of calls? Well, we've got a couple points, but we don't have a slope. Remember, to come up with this equation, we need slope and a point. So we're going to have to actually go ahead and find slope. Well, remember, slope is just change in y over change in x. So our change in y, let's do 13.28 minus 15.56. So change in y over change in x, that's going to equal 13.28 minus 15.56 is going to equal negative 2.28. And then change in x, so the 56 minus 37, which is just 19. And you end up with that ugly fraction. Well, you just divide that out. So negative 2.28 divided by 19 is equal to negative 0.12. So that's your slope. So your equation now, using either one of these points, let's just use this one, is going to be y minus y1, which is 15.56, equals your slope, which is negative 0.12, times x minus that x value of the same point, which is 37. And then to finish this, I'm just about out of time, so I'm not going to be able to finish, but to finish, that's 62 minutes is the x that they want you to solve for. And now this is the exact same problem as number 9, and you can go through the rest of the problem that way. Okay, so I have all these problems posted on the checklist. Feel free to pause this video to see it a little easier.